we just spent the whole weekend listening to this information, and by Monday we were just on fire, just jumping out of the sky. And it only got better. And what is coming up for all of us is the major function. And we get really crazy there because first time I saw all the leaders front, and they weren't like in backstage partying or whatever. They're taking notes. Everybody is hanging on to information and taking notes and getting excited about what we're learning. It's a learning culture, and you will be excited too because it will change your life. It will change your family. It will change anything you want to do in your life. It will make it better. We are so excited. I was going to tell you some of the things that you can plan on learning. I had this little folder from my insurance company, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And they said that public speaking for people is usually their greatest fear. And maybe taking a public speaking class can help you teach you how to deal with your fears and turn your weakness into a strength. Well, we have practice every day speaking to people, and it's not really speaking, it's like helping them and teaching, and it's a learning culture where we're learning and then we're teaching, and it's exciting. I don't remember school being that exciting, but I know that learning things that help you and your family has always been exciting. This says also, taking a personal finance course may not be on people's radar, but it can be valuable when bills, taxes, insurance, investments, and budgeting come into play. Who has to deal with that? Everybody. We kind of don't like to, but it's so much better when you know what to do instead of just guessing. We were always guessing and put them in this pile and then put them in that pile and then change piles and then eeny, meeny, miny, moe, who gets paid this month. And there was no rhyme and reason to it. But with this information, it was so exciting. And also says, courses on leadership can be a great way to talk and learn about different leadership styles and brainstorm how to handle challenging situations that one might face in a professional setting, and how to work well with others and demonstrate leadership. Well, we know that whatever personality you are going to learn, and you're going to be so excited. And the most important thing that you can do right now is to plan on going to the major function, which is April 15th, that weekend. How opportune. Have your taxes done and show up to celebrate that you're going to make a difference, and this year's going to be different than next year. How many plan on having next year being different? I think so. So if you're a melancholy personality, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get all of the facts. You're going to get lists of things to do and how to do it. If you are a choleric personality, you're going to learn all of the programs and how to delegate and what to do next, and a list. If you're sanguine, you're going to have so much fun because everybody is excited about their future. Everybody is excited about moving forward and making a difference. And if you're phlegmatic, just come and enjoy. You'll love it. Here's Big June. Thank you, Randy. Big hand for Randy.
She's my very best friend. She's my lovely wife. I met her when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. Fell in love in kindergarten. Who else could say that? Well, we did. I did. Anyway, I fell in love in kindergarten and never been quite the same since. So I'm going to talk about dreaming. As you're here in this place, I got to be honest and tell you that I am a professional dreamer. Right on this spot, but down on ground level. At one time, this whole ranch was just this ground level right here, flat alfalfa fields with pastures and corrals. And we raised thoroughbred racehorses, my father and my grandfather. I was just a little boy. And my dad would have me come out and help irrigate. And so we'd irrigate. And one day I was standing right here where this stage is, where I'm standing, but right down there on the ground, had my shovel in my hand, and I'm looking just about like this, looking out over this big field, and I'm up to my knees in mud. And I had a little, let me do that again. I had like a vision. But I saw this. I saw hills. This is flat ground. And I saw hills, and I saw waterfalls, and I saw trees, and I saw buildings, and I saw what you see now. I went home as a 12-year-old kid and drew pictures of it with colored pencils and crayons. And we took that picture to the bank many years later, and they just laughed at us. They just said, you guys are nuts. We were out in the middle of nowhere here. I mean, there were just a couple other ranches here, and Baseline Road was about as wide as one of these tables. And they thought we were absolutely nuts. And I looked them in the eyes and said, we will build it, and they will come. Yeah. We did, and they did. We have served over 5 or 6 million people here, but we have performed on radio and on television on this Pro Bowl and Super Bowl for over 120 million people, simply because we had a dream. It started somewhere. Now, the reason I'm telling this to you all, is that you got to know where you're going. You got to want something bigger than what you got, because you're going to get what you got if you don't see something bigger. So our goal is to help people understand that you can have whatever you want. You can dream big, but you got to be associated with people who have what you want. And that's the biggest deal we learned here. We love all these guys you see on this stage here. Now, I knew them all before they started. They were all dorks. Every one of them. We aren't dorks. We are full of bull, but we ain't dorks. So, but these guys, but now look at them. They're all big stars. What did you think about that? I mean, they were just great. Every one of them. We all married way over our head. Is that obvious? Do I look like I'm on television up here? When I talk to you, y'all talk back to me. We dorks, married way over our head. Is that obvious? Yeah. Well, it is to us, too. But I just want you to know, you got to believe in something. You got to have a picture in your brain that's way bigger than where you are. And you got to see that and focus on it every day. We put pictures up. Now, I'm talking about, a lot of you guys know this, but I'm just talking about this because I notice that people don't. As I talk to people, they see where they are, and they focus on where they are. They don't like where they are. They don't love the fact that they don't have time with their family. They don't love the fact that that they're not in control of their life, that somebody above them controls them. They have no security. They never know when their job's going to end. You need to be in control, and you do that by doing what we do here. That is what we do. We are a university of major success, and it is wonderful. You will love this. Look at me. You will love this. You will. You will. Because you're going to hang with dorks who have become amazing, amazing people because of what we learned here. And I say that kiddingly because, honestly, we've been good friends. All of these people you've seen on this stage, we've been good friends for a long, long time. But we have all grown. And what we have learned has changed our lives. So what we want for you is the same thing. Number one, we want you to know that you have to have a dream. You have to have a reason. And so number two is you got to associate with the people who already have what you want. You got to hang with people who have what you want. And that's why we have this major function. That's why we call it a major function. There'll be about 30,000 people from all over the world. I would call that a major function. We fill coliseums. And it's just amazing with the greatest leaders in the world there, and people by the thousands, by tens of thousands who believe in where they want to be. They believe, they see it. They have a picture in their brain of what they want and where they want to be, and they're hanging with the people who have that. And that's how you're going to get where you want to be. That's how you change your life. And you accomplish what you want out of life because you see what you want, you focus on it, and you associate with people who already have it. So we recommend that each of you, if a lot of you are brand new here, we know that, and you're going to think, well, that's crazy. You know, this is in Kansas City, and it's 2 weeks from now on February what's the month? April the 15th, 16th, and it is going to be amazing. You need to be there. So if you're here, you're brand new, I would just recommend get a little crazy. Be just a little bit crazy and just think if all of these people and hundreds of thousands more were changed by what they learned here, maybe things can change for you too. I promise you it can. I promise you you will. We love what we do here. We're proud. You know, we love what we do here at the Rockin' Ranch. But we were in debt by $1.7 million last year. And one of the things we do here is we teach people to get out of debt. And it was really hard for us to do that when we were so deep in debt. But now we have zero debt. That's less than a year. We're totally out of debt. It's a great feeling. I know that most of you here have debt, and I'm just telling you, there's nothing like you feel like you're flying on a cloud. Hang with a group of people like this who are going where you truly want to go, and you'll love where you're going to go. So I get the chance of introducing to you two of my very best friends. And we've been good friends for a long, long time. Jeremy grew up what we call up on the mountain. And I grew up there too, up in Sholo, Arizona. He grew up in Eager, Arizona. He was truly a dork. But now he's a champion. He's amazing. No, truly. I mean, we were all dorks, all us guys. You girls can look over at your husband and say, yep, you're right. We were all dorks, but now, from doing what we do here, we have learned so much. So Jeremy's going to be up here. Sweet Mary's going to introduce.
And Michelle. We've known Michelle for a long time. And we started out working with her parents and with her. She's always been a go-getter. She's always seen what she wants and goes for it. She's always out to help. She has a soft heart. Michelle and Jeremy.
Well, happy April Fools. So I have a really quick story that's super cute. We have 4 girls and 1 little sweet boy. He's our baby and he's the love of our life. We do love our girls too. But let me just put that out there. But our cute little boy, he went to preschool this morning and his teacher had said, we have brownies for you in the basket over there. And so she brings this basket over and there's all these things in foil. So they open them up and they were brown E's that were brown. So my poor little boy that loves food, let me just put that out there, loves brownies, was devastated. And they actually did give them these little tiny brownies a little bit later. But then the teacher says, we're going to make these for your family, for your moms and your dads. And JJ looks up at his teacher. He says, I don't want to make one. I don't want to trick my parents. I just thought that was so cute. So, so that's my sweet little JJ. So about a week ago, some of you were with me. So about a week ago, I was hurrying really fast. We were running to a house plan. And I had recently just bought a brand new pair of boots. And they are super duper uncomfortable and I can't walk in them, but they're so cute, so it doesn't matter. And I actually put them on real fast. I'm like, oh, these are so uncomfortable. Put them on, ran to the house plan, and at this particular house plan, they have these awesome little lounge chairs that are you just jump up on there and sit down, and my feet don't touch the floor. And so my feet popped up, and I looked down at my feet, and I'm like, my shoes are on the wrong feet. And so it was awesome. So I'm sitting there right before the plan started, and I'm switching my shoes and everything, and I realized, I was super uncomfortable because I was just used to it before, when I hadn't switched them. So I switched them, and then I started walking around, and it was amazing. I could totally walk in them now, and they actually fit me really, really well, and they didn't hurt anymore. And so as I was contemplating that whole concept, it made me realize a few things. It is really uncomfortable to have fears. And in this business, you are overcoming a lot of them. And I know for me, there's been huge times where contacting was a huge fear of mine, and still sometimes is, when I don't do it for a little while. And so that was something that was really hard for me. It was like my big wall. And And I think I can actually say it's probably a big wall for a lot of you. You know, and I'm not saying you specifically, but a lot of people in this business. And you know, what I realized once I started contacting was that, yes, it's hard. It can be hard in your mind. You make it hard yourself. But when you actually are able to get through that obstacle, it's something you will learn to love. Because what you're doing is you are giving people opportunities to learn about something amazing. There's this really cute movie out there that's called The Good Dinosaur that my kids have really gotten into lately. And there's this little papa dinosaur with this little boy that's always afraid of everything. And in that movie, he finally takes Arlo out and he says, when you get on the other side of fear, you will see the beauty of the bright side. And it's so true. You know, we need to get over our fears. You know, I was just looking at a quote. See if I can do this. Kenyon's always really good at this, and so I'm trying to be like her. Okay, it says, fear is the brain's way of saying that there's something important for you to overcome. And it's so true. You know, those fears are out there for you to get over them. And what better way to get over them with a whole bunch of friends? They're here to help you and help you get moving and really help you to allow your dreams to come true. And you get the opportunity to do the same thing for everyone else. And so, you know, I want to say I am so grateful for Jeremy. He is the love of my life. We have so much fun together, and it's really funny because there was this thing during church during a state conference this one Sunday, or you know, a big huge group of leaders, or of actually people that just lived all over in our area. And this man was standing at the pulpit, and he says, so how many of you know how many of you have a great relationship in your home? And he says, what are some things that you can do to make sure that happens? And so Jeremy looks at me because he knows I'm going to say something because I'm kind of a loudmouth. And he just gives me this dirty look, and he's not at all. And he said, and I screamed, quality time. Because those of you that have read the 5 Love Languages book, you know that's a big one. For me, I'm a quality time girl. And so he made me come up to the pulpit when he heard me. That's awesome. And so he made me come up to the pulpit, and he says, tell us a little more about that. And so it was really fun because I sat there and I said, you know, we have a really fun household. When one of us are in a bad mood, Jeremy will come and tackle you. So you better be in a good mood. And so he kind of became known in our area that you better be nice or he's going to come and tackle you. And I didn't mean for it to happen that way. But, you know, it's kind of fun because we absolutely have the opportunity to be able to teach our kids and teach our kids to have fun, because that's important. And have fun making memories. You know, we are able to be with our kids because of this business, because of the sacrifices, because of the fears we've been able to go through. And we're not perfect. There are so many things that we still want to do. There are so many things that we still want to accomplish, and so many fears we still need to get through to get to where we want to be. But we know it's going to happen, and I know it's going to happen because of this man right here, Jeremy Slade.
Awesome, thanks. So, how many are having a good time tonight? Right? It has been phenomenal just taking notes and hearing all these great leaders speak their dynamic stories. And so, I appreciate this law of association. How many of you appreciate that? By the raise of hands. Like you're truly grateful for this law. And so, I wanted to talk about that. And so, you might spell it out. Association. So if you're taking notes, you might want to put that out. Law of association. Why is that so important for you? Let me tell you my story that happened to me, and hopefully you'll see through my law of association that I started to become like the people I associated with. So prior to Life Leadership, we had tried a business, and it failed, and we lost everything. And that right there broke us. We lost our home, we lost our cars, and we moved back in with family. Now, how many of you have ever had to move back in with family, with having your own kids, with eating your in-laws' food, barely struggling to keep your own pride together? Is that true? And so that's where I was at when Rob and Kenyon came over with Jim and Mary and Manasseh and Lisa Fotu. They came over and introduced us. I was broke. I worked a Swan's Food Distributor Monday through Saturday, 8:30 to 9:30, so 8:30 in the morning to 9 p.m. That didn't make enough money because I gave away all the ice cream for free. I went and found a job trip working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. So for me, I didn't have, my association was all messed up. I was associating with other people that thought the same way that I did. That the key to success is just go get a lot of jobs, don't spend any time with families, and just pray that it's a better tomorrow. And that's what we did. And when Rob and Kenyon, Jim and Mary, and Manasseh and Lisa, and they came over and introduced this life-changing information, the first thing, if this you want to put this as number one, the first thing they asked me to do was to associate with learning. Now, me being from a small town, Eager, like Big Jim said, how many of you know where Eager's at? How many am I related to you? Right? That's probably all of you, you know? And so for me, the law of association with learning, I didn't like to learn. I went to school for sports. I was really good at one and not the other. Okay? And so for me, I didn't like to, I thought I was slow. Now, let me just give you a little caveat to that. In kindergarten, I was so blind that I couldn't tell the colors. And so they finally said, well, we don't know why he's not learning. Let's take him to the eye doctor. Thanks, Easton. And they announced that I was colorblind. And so I was put in a specific set of classes with those that had disabilities of learning. So at that point, where did my that I was not a learner? I didn't like school. Now, I was really good at sports, and so that was one thing that people didn't make fun of me on, but I had the big glasses that defined who I was. And how many of you have ever seen the Christmas Carol that has, you're going to shoot your eye out? How many of you? That kid that had the big glasses, that was me, right? You're going to shoot your eye out. And so everybody would tell me that, hey, there goes old four-eyed, you're going to shoot your eye out. And so all the things that I was associating with at that point started to define me. And then I had this friend, Rob Robson, come into my life, Jim Robson, and Manasseh Fotu and their wives. And they started to get me in love with the law of association, with learning, with listening to CDs. Now, how many of you love music? You can sing at top of your lungs Def Leppard or Britney Spears or Tupac, right? You know, and so you're sitting there, and so when Rob and Kenyon came over and they said, hey, we really want you to listen to these CDs, I'm like, this is gonna be a kick. But I put in the first CD, and I found myself at work in the car, still listening to the CD at work, laughing, crying. People were looking at me all weird because they were going in the job, and I'm like, ha, ha. Right? How many of you found that you can't stop listening to the CD? So number one, find a way to learn, to love, to listen. Here, you should write that, Jim, down. Coach Tom Izzy of the Michigan State basketball team, been there for about 19 years. His famous quote is to learn to listen and listen to learn. Right? That's a really good one. And so the second thing that Rob taught me is the law of associating with those that are reading, those that are advanced. When you read, you start to gain more knowledge. How many of you agree with that? When you read, you start to develop, and that starts to give you greater skills that you can take out and produce better results. So that was the second thing Rob did. Now, how many of you remember that I was colorblind? How many of you remember I didn't like to read? How many of you know that I have a sixth grader that tells me the right words when I'm reading out loud? And so I started, and I cracked open this book, and I started to read, and I found that I couldn't stop reading. So that's number two. So number one was law of association with CDs. Number two, law of association with reading. Number three would be law of association with others. There's a certain utopia that comes along when you deal with other people that have like-minded ambition. Does that make sense? If I was going to go into being an eye doctor, I'd probably want to go get Dr. Kelsey to give me a little, well, doctor, I'm going to tell the story if it's okay. So on the law of association, let me pause here. 3 weeks ago, I have bad allergies, and I had my left eye swollen shut. Now, I've heard, because we have 5 kids, that the best way to take care of these eye problems is with breast milk. Some of you will get this. Totally true, isn't it? Not this story. So we don't have any kids that are on that type of milk, so we have teammates. So I woke up one morning, and I took to Michelle, and I'm like, hey, you totally need to call this person and ask for milk, because it'd be kind of awkward for me to law of association. That might not be a good thing. So Michelle's like, okay. So she calls this person and says, I would like to, Jeremy has an eye problem, and we heard the breast milk's good. Can we get you some? She says, yeah. So Michelle goes over to her house. She leaves the breast milk in a bottle with the nipple for the baby. So she brings it home, and I put this drop of milk in my eye to try to fix this eye problem I had. I did that for 4 days. It didn't work. Then I went in my medicine cabinet, and how many of you have ever used like an eye drop? They're in small containers. You're like, oh, it must be genius. So I go in there because it wasn't working. I grab, this. I didn't read law of association number 2. And so I came to Michelle. I'm like, can you put these drops in my eye? She put the first drop in my right eye. I screamed in so much pain. She turns it over. Don't use on eyes, only for ears. So that was my second thing that we did. Law of association. Hey, you guys are getting taught by one of the best. So finally, day 7, I wake up and I'm like, we know an eye doctor. Ishal, why don't you call Rebecca and see if Easton will be okay with associating with my eye? So he does. He says, send me the pictures. So I send him the pictures. He's like, oh, yeah, you got a bad allergy. Just here's what you need to do. Within 2 minutes, Easton had a prescription down to the doctor's office. I then picked the prescription up, put it in my eye. 30 minutes later, it was all fixed. Right? That's pretty good. So why am I saying that to you? Well, number one, I tried all the wrong things. I know I've been in this industry with Rob. I've seen Rob and Kenyon for 13 years leading me the example, but I've always tried the hard path. From breast milk to eardrops to actual medicine. So when it talks about law of association, you might not be as in dire needs as my eyes were when it comes to law of association, but that third one, law of association with others that know how to advance. See, Easton, he knew he was a professional. He'd had experience. He was able to clear my thinking and I within a matter of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What does that mean for you here tonight? You might have an eye problem. You might have a law of association problem. We can fix that. Number 1, start listening to CDs. Number 2, start reading. But number 3, come associate. I've learned just recently that professionals know how to cure things. Tonight you're in the midst of some of those. You've heard examples. I could have just given you the notes that I've taken from each one of these that are speaking tonight. But what are you going to do about it? Reminds me of Gandhi's quote, and I'll leave you this, and then we'll introduce the next couple. Gandhi says, become the change you want to see in the world. When you look at the law of association, my challenge for you is why don't you become the change that you want to see in the world? That's what the Slades did, is we started association with those steps, and it's cured some of our thinking, but still sometimes we have small town thinking that we put breast milk, eardrops, 7 days, and then we kind of get our thinking straight. So we love being with you guys. It's been great. So we're excited to introduce the next couple.
So this next couple, we absolutely are so excited to be able to have the opportunity to introduce. London has been she's been such an amazing friend to me, and I absolutely love her to pieces. She is such an amazing speaker, and she is so great for her team, and it's really fun to see her example of everything. She's a huge example to me. You know, she is on our team, but they have both Kevin and London have definitely helped so much.
Do you want it?
She really is
Want one of these?
people, and it's so fun, you know,
Kevin is phenomenal. This has become a big series. He's become the adult professional through life as this amazing transformation of a person on understanding the association, the magic of, thinking big, thinking global. He's covered all that. But one of the things I love about Kevin, and I'll just share this with you, because we have a very unique position of
Stick it on.
progression. When Kevin and London didn't have the money, have the time, invested all they could in
you. Thanks. Okay, so I have been so fed by what we have listened to tonight already, and I'm like, these people are really funny, and I'm not funny, so you get what you get, I guess. You know, one of my biggest fears of coming up these stairs, especially in a long skirt like this, is to trip flat on my face. So someday, I'm hoping not to conquer that fear through that action, but just conquer it with confidence in walking upstairs. But I haven't so enjoyed. Have you enjoyed tonight so far? I am so impressed with the caliber of leadership in this room, and it's been so fun to be on this journey with them. And so I love listening to Big Jim talk about his dreams. How many of you are dreamers like Big Jim? There's a few of you out there. Well, I wasn't prior to life leadership, and I actually prided myself on being a realist. Kevin has always been an entrepreneur. He's always been a dreamer. He's always taken me around to look at the things that our life is going to look like and have and be and do. And I've always had to ride on his faith and say, are you sure? Are you sure we're going to have this? Okay, now show me the exact plan that we're going to have to get this, because if I don't see that exact plan, I don't see the dream. So that's kind of where we were at in our journey. And so I'm a realist. He's a dreamer. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, I'm a country singer. And people always ask me, where are you gigging? Where are you singing? And nowhere right now until I go life coach. And then everything's going to break loose. But just in case you're wondering, that's so you don't have to ask me yet. But a few years ago, I had this opportunity to compete in the World Championships of Performing Arts. And it gave me an opportunity to meet with some record labels and some producers and things. And they kind of gave me a realistic view of what it was going to look like to be able to break into the music industry. And one of the things that they told me to do was go home and write. I needed to write my own music. And so we started to have some great success in real estate. And as we did, we had sold enough homes that I could go to Nashville, and I studied with some of the best vocal coaches there, and I worked with some amazing songwriters that perfected my songs. And I have my own CD, and I'm like, oh, I'm on my way, right? So I have the list now. Now I have my album. And then I looked at my mentors in the industry. Okay, what do they have? Well, they have a website. So I got myself a website. Well, they have a music video. So I got myself a music video. And then what else do they have? They have a marketing team. And I don't have a marketing team and no money to create a marketing team. And so I kind of got stuck in my dream there. So I had all the tools and all the talent and everything to get out there, but nowhere to move that dream forward. And so I was kind of at a standstill there. And I knew that the Lord had more songs for me to write and more things to get out, but if I couldn't figure out how to get the ones that he had given me out, why would he give me more? Was kind of my thought process. And about this same time that I was going through this struggle, Kevin had this conversation with Rob Robson that he talks about often, where Rob spun a dream for him about life leadership and what that would look like in his life and what our life could look like. And Kevin came to me and he said, I want to build. And I'm like, awesome, go build. I mean, you know, so I was into my music and doing all the things that I thought was going to push me forward in that industry. And he started to build life leadership. And and I remember him coming to me and saying, hey, Rob, there's a major function coming up, and Rob says if we're going to be successful in this, we need to go. And I'm like, where was it? California? Yeah, so it was in California, and I'm thinking, California? Yeah, let's go to California. We'll take time to go to the beach and do all this stuff, right? And so as he drives me, it's to Visalia, which is nowhere near a beach. It's like, I've never known California not to have water. I mean, I've never been anywhere, you know, that was, so I went with this attitude, and it showed on my presence there at the major function. I refused to wear business casual, and I remember I was wearing my jeans with the cute sparkles on the butt and this bright yellow shirt, and I did buy myself a life leadership sweatshirt to kind of show my loyalty, right? Mostly I was cold, and that was all they had. But so I remember walking around Like Jim said, looking at all you people as weirdos. I walked around looking at all these people going, huh, they really think they're gonna get something out of this. They really think that they're gonna, like, some speaker on stage is gonna move them and something is gonna change in their life. And as a realist, a piece of you, when you're in a big room full of dreamers, a part of you wants to believe and wants to have that and wants to just let go of all your fears of failure. But the real part of you goes, sure, in what lifetime, right? Well, I sat through that major function being way cooler than all those people until one lady came on stage and she gave this talk that she talked about her dream, their success in the business, and the role that the business had in their success and getting her dream. And it hit me. It hit me so hard because all of a sudden, my eye perked up. And I looked at Kevin, and I saw this. He probably had no idea what was going through my head. He usually doesn't, and I usually expect him to. But so all of a sudden, I saw this business as a vehicle to get what I wanted with my music, to not be tied to a record label, to not have to follow the normal path to stardom, so to speak. How I could create an income that could create a marketing team and fund my music to do whatever I wanted to do to get it out to whoever needed to hear it at that time. And so I remember sitting there next to Kevin and looking at him and looking at this couple that was up there, and